So today we got a 54 MG TF in the shop for a little diagnostics. So we have had this car in the shop before. Right after I moved into this shop, the owner at that time was wanting to sell it, but the fuel pump was dead in it, and it was an old fuel pump. So we put a brand new fuel pump in it so that she could sell it with no problems. Well, now the current owner has noticed a noise in the engine after putting new exhaust on it. And that's what it's here for, to diagnose that noise. But I think at this point, a little history on the car is warranted on how we got to this point. So this car actually belonged to a longtime club member, local here, the same club that I'm in. And he had restored this thing, and then he got maybe 100 miles into the car after restoring it before he unfortunately passed away. And the widow ended up holding onto the car for roughly 10 or 15 years before she was emotionally ready to get rid of it. Now, her husband was a Vietnam veteran, a Marine, and he is currently actually buried in Arlington Cemetery because he was a Bronze Star recipient. And the guy who owns it now originally signed on to just help her find a buyer for it, ended up deciding he liked it enough to buy it himself. But then he's been driving it mainly just to shows and back, and that's it. And the car still only has about 500 miles on a rebuilt engine. Now this car was only about a 3/4 restoration. They never actually took the body off the chassis. If you saw the video of me putting the fuel pump in it, you'll see that the back half of the chassis wasn't done properly. The new owner has since redone the whole back of the chassis, and it looks just as nice as the top side of the car. But he's been driving it mostly on the freeway back and forth to these shows at like 4,500 RPM plus sustained cruising. And now he's got a noise in the engine and he wants me to diagnose that. That's what we're going to do today. So we're going to dig into looking at how to diagnose noises in the engine. Now, not everything we're going to talk about here today is going to be about the exact noise that we're hearing in this. But we will be looking at various options of ways to diagnose different noises. Now, this is an XPAG engine, and I personally do not recommend cruising at 4,500 plus RPM in these things. They're not balanced well enough, and you will knock the bottom end bearings out of it in a lot shorter time than you'll be happy with if you do a lot of that. And that could have been what he did here, but we're going to dig into it and look to see what's actually happening. So one of the handy little tools for checking out noises in an engine is a mechanic stethoscope. These can actually be bought pretty cheap at places like Harbor Freight. But you know, you wear it just like any other little stethoscope, but this is meant to push against the block and then transmit the noises through the end here. So you can put it on and then hold it against the block in various spots, down the block, up in the cylinder head, timing cover, various other places, and you can determine whether it's the top end, at the top of the motor, or whether it's down at the bottom of the motor, near the front, near the back. You can even put it on the water pump and see if maybe if the water pump making noises. Wherever the noise sounds the loudest is the area of the engine that it's coming from. Now, if you got like a bearing on a rod that's knocking, or a wrist pin rattling, something like that, you can get the motor to running. Then you come in with some insulated pliers, like these are actually spark wire pullers. And when it's running, grab each of the wires and pull one of them off, one at a time, and go through all 4 cylinders and see if the noise changes. If the noise really quiets down when you pull one of those off, then your problem is within that cylinder. So if you got like tapping, ticking kind of noises, and obviously first thing you want to check is your valve adjustment. Make sure they're not too loose, because those will cause some pretty loud tapping noises. Now the owner of this car has already went through with a feeler gauge and said it all was within good spec, right where it needs to be. And I've already taken the valve cover off, taken a look, and nothing looks amiss in there. So another nice tool to use when diagnosing stuff like this is these little cameras here, boroscopes. Now these things here you can actually buy nowadays, ones that hook to your phone that are actually really cheap, like under $30. And even this one, with as good a picture as it has, is still right around $100. So they're not like they used to be. But you can then look down into the cylinders and look for like big chunks of carbon or scoring in the cylinder walls or any other evidence of problems. It's not so much anymore these days, but we used to, years ago, see big chunks of carbon. And carbon buildup can cause pinging because it creates hot spots that'll ignite the mixture. And big chunks of carbon can potentially cause knocking noises if it's tall enough to fill that space between the combustion chamber and the piston itself, or the bottom of the head, and actually hit the bottom of the head and cause a knocking noise. But we can look down in here and look at the pistons and look at the cylinder walls and see what they look like. Now, this particular engine, being as little miles as it should have, you shouldn't see that much lines in there like that. You should be able to see a cross-hatching pattern, crisscross hatching, which is how the cylinders are usually honed when they're properly done for break-in. And at this kind of mileage, you should still be seeing that pattern, not those lines like that. But if you see like big score lines, usually on either the left or the right side of the bore, that can be piston scuffing. Or if you see some random lines here and there rather than lines like that, it could be broken piston rings. So let's get this thing running, so hopefully you can hear through the mic what the noise this motor is actually making is. Hopefully it's coming through the mic really well, but it sounds like it's more towards the front of the engine. It's more of a grumble, not so much of a rod knock kind of sound. And in this case, when you pull each of the wires off, it doesn't change at all. So what we're going to do is go ahead and take the belt off the water pump and see if it changes, because it doesn't look like the water pump's ever been greased, and it could easily just be that grumbling and making the noise. All right, we have the belt off. The noise hasn't really changed any noticeable amount. One reason why I wanted to take the belt off was this does move a little bit. There is a little bit of movement in there. And one of the other things that may sound really stupid, like this one had a heater at one time, and you have this here, you want to make sure that this isn't just banging. Now obviously that's not it. The noise is definitely lower in the engine than this, but that's also one of those things people might not think about. I hear it loudest right about here. So in this case here, you know, we're not getting like a direct knocking or pinging noise like it sounds like one cylinder or tapping from the valves, things like that. It sounds more like a bottom end grumble. And if you've seen in when I was using the stethoscope, where while standing here it sounds like it's near the front, the stethoscope is showing it more back around where the distributor's at on the side covers. So next thing we're going to do here is we're going to actually go ahead and take the oil filter off, drain that oil into a clean container, look and see what we find in the filter and in that oil to see if we see bearing material or something else in there. So I got the oil filter off. We got it all down into a clean container here. And now we are expecting, since this thing still is within the break-in period, you would expect to see a little bit of silver and maybe a couple specks. That's not that uncommon. We do see a few little specks here and there, but not to the level that I would maybe have thought with the noises that this thing's now making. And we don't see much of anything in here. Of course, this has this wrap around it. Without tearing that apart, we can't see any closer. But we're not seeing the kind of things in here that we might expect to see with these noises. So then the next step, I'm going to go ahead and drain the oil out of the oil pan, the full volume, and see what I see in that, because we only had it running for that little bit that you saw. So depending on what we find when we drain the oil, we might end up pulling the sump off this thing to take a closer look at what's in the bottom end. But that's going to have to come in the next video, because I'm already many hours past when I would normally have had a video out today. In order to get you something out today, this is where we're going to stop. Partly because we went and looked at another car today for the guy that owns the 71 GT that got wrecked. We finally got a settlement on the car. They did not total it, but we're not going to be able to fix it really quickly. And he took a new job that's going to be driving just a little further, and that car is not suitable for what he needs it for as a daily driver anymore. So we looked at a daily driver for him, and he's buying that. The GT will be getting fixed, and when we can get to working on it, we will be doing some videos on it. By buying the daily driver, that gives him the time to work on that car. We can fix the rust that's in it and start turning it into what he really wants that car to be in the long run. So look for that in the future.